Hello and welcome to tonight's Get in Tune. I've got a really fun show tonight. Two great guys that I've gotten to know since the pandemic started. I love the work they do. I actually got right below my drawing board here one of the last book they had up when they just successfully funded and then shipped out. X-Farce Reloaded, which thankfully I got to work on. It's a fantastic book. You guys need to check it out, and they'll tell you more about it. But let me bring in the two guys who truly are Parody Press, Don Chin and Bill Mouse. Hello.
Hey, Michael.
How's it going?
Let me just ask you quickly before, are you hearing that beep coming on, like little ding?
I do. I kept on thinking I was getting mail from somewhere.
No,
I got like 5 things on over here.
I don't know why it's happening because I quit out of the program. But
like, wait a minute, we won a prize. We won something.
People constantly are texting me.
I thought it was the guy from Breaking Bad in a wheelchair that was dinging.
I apologize if it happens. It seems I'm on like a text chain with some people, and even though it's the whole iCloud connected, and I thought I had everything off, but it's still going off. If I hear it,
it's not some kid on a bike riding past my studio, like, hey, get out of my way, guy! Get out of my way, buddy! You bother me. Trying to get my ball.
So, first off, thank you guys for coming on tonight. I've been looking forward to chatting with you guys.
You too, man.
And we're here, and we're gonna. It's gonna annoy me. It's gonna annoy me.
An angel gets its wings.
All right. Stop texting.
Don't turn it into a drinking game. This is going to be. Who knows what we'll be talking about 30 minutes from now.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
I'm doing this hardcore water over here.
All right. I'm so sorry about that.
It's my vodka.
So before we get into what you're here for, to talk about your new Indiegogo, Beardzerker, which is almost fully funded, right? Or
close.
Yeah, almost fully funded. So that's fantastic. And you still have like 2 weeks left on it. And we're going to get to look at that in a little bit. But before we get into that, can you each tell us a little bit about yourself and then how you guys kind of got together and started teaming up and working on things? Whoever wants to start first.
I'll let Bill go.
This guy.
He's
Are you like me?
older. No, you're not older.
Sometimes my back feels older today. I've been hunched over my table now for a while, so my back is fused into one shape as I'm drawing.
I like your camo. You look like a jungle. Like
I did. Instead of putting my banner, I decided to put a tree. It feels more natural.
It looks like
no, not even.
Oh
no! If I had to water this thing, it would have died long ago. I don't have a green thumb. I'm not built that way. But you got fish. It feels more natural. I was like, let me get a tree. I'm like, I'll go put a tree back here.
Sounds good. You go ahead, Bill.
A little bit about myself. I am we can actually say this now. We're a 30+ year veteran of the comic book industry, as it were. With my first job. My very first paying gig in comics was a book called X-Farce for Eclipse Comics, which is the way that I met Don Chin. That's the way that we all got together, and that was kind of like the seed friendship of because once Don actually started Parody Press, he gave me. I almost feel like you gave me a phone call first. I don't know if I was one of the first people that you called up, but we started getting together and coming up with ideas. Well, you actually had. X-Cons come out first, right?
X-Cons was the very first Parody Press book.
Yeah, exactly.
X-Farce was like 92, and then Eclipse went out of business, and then we started Parody Press.
Right, exactly.
The year after.
So shy of a decade working with Don on Parody Press books, and later on Entity Comics books, which was our superhero imprint. So we could do like action adventure, sci-fi books that were not considered parody. They were just considered, regular adventure, straightforward stories.
Yeah. And I'd like to actually touch upon Entity in a little bit, if you will, just because
sure, yeah, absolutely,
one of my favorite franchises. So we'll talk about that.
Oh, cool. Absolutely.
Continue.
Yeah. So between a lot of freelancing, some of my creator-owned characters that have kept me alive for quite a few years were actually characters that I was allowed to introduce into the Zen Intergalactic Ninja series, and that's a book that's owned by Steve Stern and Dan Cody. They were publishing under Zen Comics and later under Archie Comics, and then Don actually got the license for Zen, and that was actually our flagship title. That was our first title as an Entity Comics publication, and ever since then, I've been kind of like the street level blue collar worker of comic books. I've been just underneath the radar, working a lot of independent books, taking my creator owned stuff from Entity to a company called Avatar Press, and then back to Entity Comics, and then a lot of crossovers with other independents, and so that's what I've been doing. That's awesome. I've dabbled in lots of other things. There's been some animation stuff with Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. I was drawing caricatures at theme parks for a few years, which was like my boot camp into into becoming a better, more competent artist and growing a thicker skin. I noticed a lot of younger artists that come up that me particularly, I'll just speak from my own experience, very thin skin. There's, if somebody says something about your artwork, you take it very personal because you pour so much time into it. So working at a theme park and getting that instant feedback is like, wow, that's horrible. It's like, or wow, that's great. That's
no tip for you. Give me my money back.
It's like, you just charged me $20 for this, so they're running away. But it taught me a lot about how to present your artwork, how to accept, the feedback that people do give you from seeing your artwork, and just learning that drawing the next thing is the most important thing, not dwelling on how good or bad the thing that you drew 10 years was, continuing to keep on. That's what will eventually mature you into an artist that can handle this sort of brutality and or fun.
Brutality.
And of course, right now we're drawing Beardzerker. We're bringing things full circle. I mean, a lot of the Parody Press alumni are sort of circling back around. We really needed Don to be the catalyst for that to happen. And it was just the perfect timing. Things just are in the right place. People's life experiences are in the right place. And having this actually coming together right now is like, it's super exciting. It's I'll let Don explain some more things about the book and all that good stuff, but it's an exciting time to be an independent creator, especially with
it's a good time to be alive. Yeah.
It's a good time to be alive. Get busy living or get busy drawing. They say that somehow the kids say something rough like that.
That kind of sounds like Fred Sanford for some reason. I don't.
I think I default to Fred Sanford at some point. I do that. Lamont, you big dummy.
That's how old we are. We all get that joke.
So it comes across in my work. I think eventually when you read my books, you get Fred Sanford out of my stories. Eventually, that's what you get.
I'm fine with that. And you're right. I think this is a great time to be in the independents. I've worked in the independents on and off. God, what's it been since '97? So
right.
And I think right now we're seeing a lot of great stuff come out, and I've looked at everything you sent me for Beardzerker, and I've looked at your Kickstarter and everything already, and it just looks fantastic. It's
thanks, dude.
And this is stuff that I'm excited to see coming in out in the comic world. But before we get to that, again, Don, can you give us your story?
My spiel.
Yeah.
I was born prematurely. Oh, not that far back. Michael, I got into comics mainly through kind of a combination of both old school Harvey and Richie Rich comics as a youngster. and then the Peanuts comic strip by Charles Schulz. So somebody in my childhood bought me a nice big box collection of hardcover Schulz books. Wow. And so I just read those until the covers fell off. And then as I got older, I started to enjoy Marvel and stuff. But from an early age on, I was always drawing comic book strips at my parents' restaurant and creating adventures. So I always wanted to be a comic book person. And then as I got into high school, I started to meet other cartoonists. And so we did a fanzine called Overload when I was in high school, and we did like 5 issues of it. And looking back on it, it was so bad. And the main reason why we did it was because we weren't getting published by anybody. We would send our stuff off, to Marvel or DC or to Heavy Metal, and we'd say, okay, I can't wait till they call us back and we're going to get hired. And that's kind of how big our ego was. Yeah. and now I look back on that stuff, I'm going, I cannot believe I sent that off thinking that it was good. So that kind of segued into going into conventions to promote this Overload book. And that was, I live out in California. And so we would go down to the Bay Area to creation cons and try to hobnob with professionals. And that's kind of how I met the people at Eclipse Comics. And Eclipse was the very first comic book job that I got, but I was published by Cracked, which is something that Bill and I share a great affection for. Cracked and Mad. I'm sure you probably like.
I love both of them. And Cracked was very hard to find in my area. So like if I went into like a CVS or the deli or wherever it was and I saw it, I picked it up. I made sure to buy it or
cool.
Bug my parents to buy it for me.
Yeah,
I just really enjoyed Cracked.
So that was kind of a fun magazine that I loved growing up, and I just thought, why don't I try sending some scripts and ideas to these folks? So eventually, after enough door knocking, they let me. I think Crack number 200 was the first one that I was published in, and I think Bill puts a homage to Cracked number 200 on the cover of X-Farce, and he's got cable TV. Cable TV has a copy of Cracked on it on his person.
Yeah.
So okay, so that kind of segues to Eclipse publishing the Black Belt Hamsters, Adolescent right after Black Belt Hamsters, which was a Ninja Turtle spoof.
Yes.
The very first one, and it was just supposed to be a one shot, but it sold. It's like their best-selling comic book. So they said, why don't you try to make this a series? So I did about 9 black and white issues with them, a couple one-shots, miniseries, some 3D books. So it has still a pretty dedicated following to this day. But after the Hamsters was kind of ran its course, I still had a relationship with Eclipse, and I was still wanting to do parodies. So when X-Force was being announced by Marvel and Rob Liefeld, I thought, this is going to be a prime book to spoof. So it came out. I read it. I wrote the script and I sent it to Eclipse and I said, hey, what do you think of this? And they said, yeah, this sounds really good. So the editor there knew Bill's roommate in San Diego, and I guess just the right time, right place. He got the gig to draw it, but he was kind of overwhelmed. So Bill stepped in and did a majority of the pencils and ink. So it's a collaboration between, myself as a writer, and then Bill Mouse and his friend Bob Hannon were the artists on that. And so that was the very first book we worked together on. And then I just thought, this is a good team. So Bob actually did a few Parody Press books for us as well, but Bill and I are kind of more of the main volume, producers on that.
The main duo.
Yeah, so that's kind of how we met, and X-Farce to this day was like the best-selling book that we ever did. I think it sold. Bill, you think it's like 80,000, 90?
80 was the number that we've been told, or that we've been bouncing back and forth. It might have been a little bit more than that, but I'll safely say 80.
Yeah, I mean
that's something that was like my bragging rights for weeks. It's just like
that was pretty fun.
Many copies.
And it's still I mean it's still out there. But I was really surprised. I went to Mile High Comics and they have issue number 1 for like $98.
Wow.
I went, what?
And we wait till all these micro prints, people start looking for these 10 years from now, because these really small print runs that we're doing now, gosh, it's like, a couple thousand is considered a small print run. If we're doing, something that's only like a few hundred or like, less than 1,000, or maybe even these are going to be really something to try and find later. It'll be a rarity. Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Alex.
It'll either be a rarity or we'll use it.
I'm looking for a sponsorship. Yeah, I'm trying to get a sponsorship from Atari.
Hi, Alex.
Yeah,
nice
Alex,
to see you.
He says, "Hi, am I late to the party?" No, we just started, and thanks for tuning in.
Yep.
Anyway, I'm sorry. Did I cut you off?
No. I think that kind of catches up our background. So then Entity Comics kind of was the offshoot superhero imprint off of Parody Press after we got Zen. And so we simultaneously did parodies and superhero books, but basically from 1992 to like 98. And then the market kind of collapsed. Yeah. And I got out of that, and Bill stayed in it, but my wife said, I think you'd be good at selling real estate. So I went ahead and tried that, and I've been doing that since, this is like my 23rd year as a realtor.
I don't think I've ever had a job last that long in my life. So,
but each house that you sell, you sign it.
Yeah,
it's a signed collectible.
Hey, that Chin guy's doing the graffiti on my house again.
I know.
Get out of here!
Like, why did he bagged and boarded my house?
I slabbed it. Yeah.
So let me ask you, because I'm a parody fan. I'm a huge parody fan. So much that the first book I saw
We're in the right place.
was a parody.
All right. What was that?
I will show it to you.
All right. Let's see it.
Called Plunger Pup.
Look how organized his office is, Bill.
It looks like that.
Just reach around. He knows exactly where things are.
Don, it's only on this side of the room.
Okay. Why do you think I covered up half my screen with a tree?
This is the very first ash can I ever made. I only have like 1 or 2 copies left.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's a black and white, and it's a parody on. The story is he's a parody on Green Lantern and Star Wars. So the idea was, cool. And this I did a 3-part series. So that's book 1. This is I didn't have enough to always print in color, so on covers. So I did that. Yeah. Then I went with book 3, and this is the 3-issue origin story. And then I was spinning it off and creating a cartoon team called the Ridiculous Heroes. So this was my first. So this was like 97 to maybe 98, 99 in my life.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I created him, I was like, his Plunger's basically Green Lantern, but he's basically Luke Skywalker with a Green Lantern ring, And then I created all these other heroes and villains to be parodies of other characters, and told my own stories and paid tribute to what I love. Even the new thing that I've told you guys about, my new Dax Photon. I wouldn't call it a parody per se, but I'm paying homage to all like sci-fi and everything I loved, like Flash Gordon, and my writer, he wrote all the traditional sci-fi tropes in there, and it's just everything we loved. And so there's a parody aspect to it, but it's more to me. I don't know if I consider it a parody with that, but yeah, I'm a huge parody fan. Says Mike, I want to see more of those parody heroes. I will say this, because this isn't about me tonight. It's about you guys, but Dax Photon is looking to come out this September as a webcomic. It's possibly going to, if I can get it done in time, it's going to run 6 months. Then I'm going to put it together as a book with extra stories in there from things I think people want to see, and I'll sell that as a book. But my 2022 is devoted to bringing Plunger Pup back. Whether I bring him back as a comic book or if I go animated, whether like animated shorts or a motion comic, I haven't decided yet. But my love for animation is kind of making me lean more towards that way. It's just paying voice actors, so comics are cheaper.
Yeah,
and so I might go comic, but I have rewritten the Plunger Pup story arcs and everything to update it and put in new things that I've grown to enjoy and whatnot. So 2022 for me is dedicated to Plunger Pup and all the characters that dedicated to all that. So by the end of 2022, we should see a Plunger Pup something.
I was gonna say he looks like he'd be a good team up with Cesspool because they both have plungers and toilet scrubbers.
Well, well, he's not that dark, but there may be some similarities that they can enjoy. But yeah, so let's get back to you guys. I wanted to ask you now. I grew up loving parody. My very first character that I ever created was supposed to be a parody on Mighty Mouse, who I didn't know at the time. I was 8 years old. I didn't realize it was a parody on Mickey Mouse and Superman at the time, but his name was Mighty Monkey, and he's in the Plunger Pup universe now. But so everything I kind of did, like I loved Fred Hembeck's work and making fun of superheroes, doing like funny stories, like reading was it Marvel's Age, or that he had little strips in and stuff. And so I grew up loving that stuff and kind of making fun of the things that I love. What got you guys into wanting to do parody? Was it kind of the same thing, or was it you just like to write humor? What was it that did that for you?
Do you want me to take that, Bill, or?
Yeah, you can go first.
Yeah. Okay. I would probably say I got introduced to parody through the parodies that were in Mad and Cracked. Like the movie satires were really what I bought those for. And so John Severn's cartooning work, Mort Drucker, all those things to me were like the things I really liked. And as I grew up, I just started to really like parody movies and shows like SNL and Airplane, Mel Brooks, Young Frankenstein, stuff like that. So I just like to laugh, and I've always kind of had a sense of humor, and it just, to me, it was easier to write parody because I'm kind of wired that way. Although I do like to write, serious stuff from time to time. But those are probably my main influences, Michael, are just a combination of media and those comics. I can't really think of any comics per se that I grew up like that were parodies that I read, other than the magazines. But
See, that's kind of why you're good. That's why you're good at both, is because I don't know if you've noticed, but like if you see a movie actor, a television actor, comedians can really do drama very well.
Yes,
you're right.
But usually, like if their core is being a comedian, they could stretch the drama. They do it very well. Not all the time can you see a dramatic actor trying to pull off comedy. If that's the way they're wired. That's why I think you're able to write both. Yeah, that's why you're able to write both really well. It's because I think comedians, people that deal with comedy are able. It's an easy stretch. You're able to translate. But a lot of the same. A lot of the same sources. Delay.
You go. No,
we have just enough of a delay. After you.
We're like, what are those two little characters on Warner Brothers? The two polite squirrels or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes, yeah. No. After you. No. After you. It's like,
I can't remember their names.
Yeah,
I can't remember it.
I'm pretty much done. I was
okay.
Yeah,
you go ahead.
It's not Chip and Dale. It's those other two.
But it's either Chipmunk or I think they were Gophers, right? Were they Gophers?
Yeah, they were Gophers. I bet we could Google it. And
yeah, I'm sure.
I bet we could. But I'm not going to look down while we're on there. While we're on the thing. But a lot of the same things that got Don into parody work are similar or almost exactly the same as what got me into it. John Severn was actually Mort Drucker is such an easy go-to. It's like everybody loves Mort's work. John Severn was, because he happened to be doing parodies of shows that I was actually watching as a kid, that got me really attracted to his artwork all the time. And then there were certain idiosyncrasies or certain little gimmicks that he always did in his comic strips, like the way he drew certain things or the way certain sound effects were. There were certain gags that he would do like almost all the time. And that the pattern that he had was really cool to me. So that, and Crack Magazine was really the first comic / magazine series that I was actually trying to collect one after the other, trying to get all the numbered, one issues, 220. I'm going to get 221. I'm going to get, like, that's the first time I ever actually made an effort. It's like, oh, I'm missing 224. Like I gotta get that one.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of good memories tied into buying Crack Magazine off the shelf. And that's back when I was trying to pick up like Spider-Man's and other comic books that were actually like 75 cents or $1 or whatever. It's like, back when I was a kid, that huge budget, that we used to have as children. So those are the things that got me into, and I would of course try to draw parodies because I liked his stuff so much. So, when I was a little kid, I would watch a movie. I just say Star Wars. It's like I immediately got home and I started drawing all the characters. I wanted to like memorize how they looked. The droids and the ships and the vehicles and But Crack Magazine was the first thing that got me interested in trying to draw sequential artwork, trying to actually storyboard, trying to actually throw a gag, trying to actually tell a story. And those are the things that got me into it. And of course, comedy, TV, movies, all those normal things. You enjoy all that stuff too. It all mixes in.
Yeah, I agree. I'm kind of the same way. I know you guys are not much older than me, or a little older than me, so we have a lot of the same influences. You mentioned SNL, you mentioned Mel Brooks. I mean, it's how do you not? Yeah, how do you not? I was a Nick at Night kid. So I grew up on all those old shows that they would show, and I watch everything in reruns, and I loved it. I absorbed it all. Nick at Night is like that. That's like the modern era. That's not the dark times that I grew up in. I had the Croft Super Show, and
we only had 3 channels back in the day.
Yeah, 3, and one of the channels I had to hold the dial in between 2 channels in order for the TV to actually even get it. It's like one of my arms was constantly
rabbit ears. You got to
we had to pull tricks.
Okay, maybe I'm a lot of guys. I don't know. It's
the stone tablets.
I remember a lot of that stuff. Before we move on to Beard Circle, I want to talk a little bit about Entity. And you guys got together and you were doing parody work, and then you wanted to do something superhero-ish or a little bit more serious.
Yeah, I think I have Zen right here. Hang on.
Yes, you have Zen. I know. I think you might have shown it.
Your fish tank might be wet inside that fish tank.
I was going to ask that's your monitor, right? Or is that a real fish tank back there?
It's a monitor.
It's very convincing.
Yeah,
it is very convincing.
The fish are fake. My tree is fake.
Yeah.
My beard is fake.
I guess I don't have Zen 0 on my. I thought it was handy, but it's in the other room.
I could probably.
That's still a cool cover.
I could take a copy of it off my wall. Let me see if I've got a copy on my wall.
Okay. So Entity, it came about because we were offered the license to do Zen.
There we go.
There we go. It's beautiful.
See, little reflective.
I'm gonna give you the full screen for a minute because that.
Oh yeah, sure. And it's not actually artwork per se that's on there. That's actually a statue. That's a photograph of a statue with a painted background. Yeah. Talbert, I believe, was the name of the sculptor that did this.
It's gorgeous.
Hopefully I got it on. I'm reflecting the screen 20,000 times.
Yeah, no, I see it, but I can tell it's gorgeous though.
So
yeah, he did a really nice job. There we go.
So we thought Zen was going to be the next Turtles because it was represented by Mark Friedman, who was the Turtles mastermind that took Eastman and Laird's property and made it a licensing, worldwide name. Yeah. So Steve Stern, who was the creator of Zen with Dan Cody, who's the artist. He was looking for a publisher after leaving Archie, and the Archie version was, you know, kind of like the sanitized, you know, all ages type of look that Archie does, but he kind of wanted more of an edge to it. And Bill was kind of going through kind of like a McFarlane phase at that time. And, we were trying to market him as, you know, the next.
That's an actual medical term, by the way. That's a legitimate medical term, the McFarlane phase.
and so we came to an agreement that we would do Zen and publish it, and it was a really good fit. We did, gosh, probably like 30 to 40 Zen books. And
easily.
They sold well.
Easily.
Yeah, here's the so Bill did that 0 issue, and it's all in black and white. We actually had newsstand distribution for that, and it was like the best-selling black and white comic book, I think, next to Cerebus at the time. But we had newsstand distribution. Well, so that did well, and at the same time, you know, Steve was trying to get some movie deals going. He already had like a toy line and a Nintendo game. So we liked the fact that it was an established character that we wouldn't have to really market that much, that it was already kind of had its own brand. And I think that helped us. And then in that very first issue that Bill showed you was his character, Nira X. And she's still being published to this day. But that's the very first appearance of her in the last couple pages. And then, you know, we went on and we kind of, you know, our covers on Zen, we always tried to put some kind of foil, but this is actually a chromium cover, which is like what Valiant Comics made popular with Bloodshot.
I remember that cover very well. That I think I might have owned it at one point.
Oh, cool! Yeah,
it was, I'm very good with the covers. For a long time, if I wanted to reference something, I could literally go. I'd be like, "Oh, it was in Hawkman, and it was in one of these 3 issues." I can narrow it down to like the 3 issues I read. You know, that was
cool.
So
I'm gonna divulge a little Get In Tune secret that Bill's probably gonna laugh at this, but this is artwork by Jay Lee, and he's a very popular artist. You know, back in the 90s, he was with Marvel and Image. So we commissioned Jay to do this cover. He was very expensive. I mean, back even at that time, he was like $1,000 for his work. But he gave us this cover artwork, and when we got it, when we laid out the cover, we realized he didn't draw the feet all the way down. So Bill had to airbrush what kind of looks like boots. It doesn't actually, the line art doesn't actually go all the way down to the bottom. So we had to kind of improvise with between the logo and the bottom.
That's back before I had a dependable computer. That's before Photoshop for us. I was airbrushing and hand coloring a lot of our covers. Yeah, but I was super excited. I got to paint over a Jay Lee piece. I mean, that's a bucket list item right there. So I was very excited about that.
That's fantastic. I mean, and airbrush. I haven't airbrushed in I don't know how many years, but that takes a lot of patience to do. Is that something you were very into? Like you were very.
I used to be. Yeah, I used to be a lot more proficient than I am right now, because I don't airbrush as often, because I mixed media is sort of my thing. So it's like I kind of mix the airbrush in with a lot of actual brush work and a lot of ink and a lot of pencil and all. It all gets mixed together. So I'm not just doing solo airbrush stuff like I used to back when I was younger. But I used to airbrush T-shirts. I was airbrushing the caricatures that we drew at the theme parks for the years that I was doing that. Those were all airbrushed.
Oh,
we actually had the system down where I can draw and airbrush like a caricature in about 10 minutes.
Wow.
Almost 15 minutes. You know, very cartoony, very simple. You know, it's like, but just the fact that you can get it done that quick, it was much faster than a chalk and like the other techniques that I see a lot of other caricature artists use.
I believe some theme parks are still using it. I met a guy at a con who was there promoting a comic, but his day job, he's from Florida. He works for one of the major theme parks down there, and he airbrushes caricatures and stuff down there.
Cool.
Yeah. I think the people that we worked for in SeaWorld, those early years, there was like 90, it was 1990, 91 that we were doing that, and I think those guys were the ones that actually kind of pioneered that technique, because that's what they taught us, and we were like some of the first people to get in. And Anheuser-Busch had bought the parks, so we were the only freelancing entity in the parks in those times, and they desperately wanted to get rid of us so that they could actually hire their own caricature artists as employees, as opposed to people taking a percentage.
Yeah,
when we were fast enough drawing caricatures that I think I was making somewhere in the neighborhood of probably like maybe $1,200 a week,
nice.
and I'm only taking home a third of what we were actually bringing in. So it's pretty. We divided the entire take it was like a third for the park, a third for the owners, and a third for us. That's sort of like our pyramid scheme as it was back then.
And then all the churros you could eat, or
oh yeah. If the seagulls didn't get them first, evil seagulls, man. Those things. You don't know the things I've seen at SeaWorld.
I can imagine. I've only been to SeaWorld once in my life, and I remember, I believe I was eating a hot dog, and a seagull came down and took my hot dog out of the bun and flew away.
Oh, dude, I've seen seagull. I saw a seagull take a churro from a kid, and then stand in a corner and swallow the entire thing. It was actually about this much of it was still sticking out of his mouth when he flew away. And he looked like a Klingon bird of prey trying to fly off, just because he had the neck and he had the thing, and he was, dude, it was the only thing missing was a cloaking device came over him, and I didn't see him again. That's it. It was done.
That's a villain we need to put into our next book. Remember in the skunk, you had that seagull that would attack out of the blue in the skunk, right? It was like this rabid.
There was a seagull and there was a coot. There's these kind of birds. They call them coots, and they look like cute little round birds. But when you see them out of the water, their feet are huge, because when they're swimming, their feet spread out and they could swim super fast. But when they see them on land, comically huge. It looks like a perfect little bird ball, but with clown feet. Crazy. Like you're in another world. If you walk through a theme park at normal speed, you don't see this stuff. If you sit in one spot all day long, you see the horrors.
I like the seagull of prey. We're gonna have to use that. The seagull of prey.
I think we might have to. Kapla the seagull.
He'll speak Klingon, and he'll just crap on everything.
That's it. That's our book. That's going to be the next one. I love it.
Let's just.
It's an autobiographical feature.
I do want to move on to Beard Zerker, but I want you to just talk about the story. And I think, Don, you may have said it before. I'm not sure. On the last time, well, the first time you appeared on my show, when you were with Entity, when you were doing Entity books, you got the rights to Stargate.
All right.
All-time favorite sci-fi franchise ever.
That's cool.
And can you just talk about how that came about, and you know, the type of books you were doing for them?
We were starting to kind of get our groove going with Entity, and we did other books besides then. We had Nira spinoff, and then Aster was another really good looking book. And so at the time we were going to cons, the main con that we would go to would be San Diego. I think I remember back in like around 95, 96, there was a rep going around to different comic book publishers, and he represented MGM properties like James Bond and Stargate. And my wife and I are huge Kurt Russell fans. And so when Stargate came out, we saw it in the theater in Virginia, and we just absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
And when the opportunity to basically adapt that movie as a comic book came to us and came into our lap, and it was actually something we could afford. I think, what they wanted for a licensing fee for Bond was pretty out there, but Stargate was a new property, so it really wasn't established. So we got it pretty much for a song. And so we worked out a deal with MGM and this licensing rep that we would publish the books and they would get X%. We would keep X%, and we would just do these books. So the very first miniseries we did was the Stargate movie adaptation, which was 4 issues. And so we did that. And then Delphin, who is the reason why we met, Michael, was he came in to work on that book because our main artist was not making his deadline. And so we had to kind of replace the team on the first issue with Delphin and some of his friends. And Barry Blair, who did a lot of Elf stuff back in the day, was one of the artists on that. So that's how I met Delphin, he was pulled into Stargate. So, and then Bill started to do some one-shots. We did One Nation Under Ra, I think was one book that he did. And then Underworld. So there's a trade paperback that we have very few copies left that collect Bill's stories. We have a color series called Doomsday World that we did. And we used to actually adapt some of the Stargate novels. Like Bill McKay, I think, was the writer of a lot of paperbacks. And so we would actually adapt the paperback into comic book form. So I think one of the miniseries we did was called Rebellion, and that was by some other artists. But so that was kind of the run on Stargate. They sent us stills from the movie set that we actually reprinted in the comic books to kind of just show fans, color photos that they might not have seen before. And it was a lot of fun. And the really cool thing is that after we published the first issue, I got to run into Dean Devlin at San Diego Con. He had this huge line of people that wanted his autograph. And at the time, we had just published Stargate. So I got to hand him a copy, and he signed my copy, which I still have to this day. And then just in the last year, I saw on eBay that Ben Browder, who was on the Atlantis series, he had signed a copy to a fan, and they put that on eBay for like $10. So it says like, Dear Sam, something, Ben Browder, but he was like one of my favorite actors because of Farscape.
Yeah.
So to have a Stargate thing that I published that he signed was pretty sweet.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's good stuff right there.
Yeah, it's fun. This just kind of all comes around. Yeah. So it brings out the geek in me. Like we got these fans that love the comic books, but Bill and I are huge, geeks, probably like you are, Michael.
Totally.
That's what brings us all together.
Yeah. We're all nerds.
We're just old nerds. Bunch of nerds.
Let me ask you, since we're going to move on in a moment, but have you guys thought about bringing Entity back, or are you guys just going to stick with Parody Press for now?
That's a good question for Bill.
It's technically back already, but not in a way where we're bringing on artists and taking on new titles or anything like that. I'm basically just using it as a studio brand for the moment. Nera X is being officially published by Committed Comics right now, and the arrangement that I have with Committed allows me to print. Like I have a 3-issue miniseries called Nera X Reborn. And what I do is with each issue of that series, I'll also print like an artist proof or an artist edition of that same book. So it's got its own cover. Some of the interior is a little bit different. And it's something that you can only purchase from me, from the studio. So I have the Entity Comics, imprint and everything on that. And then, we'll see where it grows, where it goes and where it grows from this point. So it's nice that we're actually working and keeping it alive and planting the seeds, because this is the very definition of grassroots, is like us, gaining 3 fans at a time everywhere we go, and growing it from there. So yeah, Entity is very much alive.
Okay.
Just a matter of cultivating and making more content. So.
All right.
Yeah, Bill's got his Kickstarter for Nera X was, you made like close to 20,000, didn't you, on that? Or
it was 15 something, almost 16,000 on the last one. And these were the first Kickstarters that we've done. We're still learning how to do it. We're not really, I could create content all day long. That's what I'm built for. But as far as learning all of these new things that we have to learn, like marketing and getting people to funnel to actually go to your site and advertising and all these other bells and whistles. But at the same time, I'm super grateful that we're able to interact from us directly to the fan, as opposed to us selling to like A, B, C, D before it even gets to the fan. It's like we're selling it to everybody but the fan the other way. Not that I want comic shops to go anywhere, because they're our life, they're our lifeblood. Yeah. But it's nice to have both. It's nice to have both of those systems going at the same time. So I'm looking for, this is going to be a very interesting decade. I'll put it to you that way, because we can take things at our own pace.
Yeah. It's interesting because you see guys that, I've been out of the business since like 2007, and that was the last thing that Bill and I ever worked on. And then I come back into the business and I see, here's Billy Tucci and here's Brian Pulido, guys that we were doing, rubbing elbows with back in the 90s. And, Billy Tucci had this character called She, and Brian Pulido had this character called Lady Death. And now I see these guys like slaying it in crowdfunding. I mean, Billy, I think he made like 250,000 between Indiegogo and Kickstarter just on his last book. And Pulido's doing the same kind of numbers, and has a warehouse just dedicated to Lady Death stuff. So Nira, came from the same era. I think we're just
the same batch. Yeah,
but I think Bill, you're on your way, because you've got a committed. They did a really good job for you. I was really happy that so many different.
Tom, the publisher there, he's very good at customer service. He's very good at making sure that when people write in, he immediately takes care of them, or like whatever the problem is, or if it's good or bad or whatever.
He's committed.
He's committed. He's committed. But those types of things bode well for everybody in this independent bubble, because we seem to be growing a fan base, and people are very accustomed now to Kickstarter and Indiegogo. That's where the cool independent stuff is. There's so many talented people and so many great books and great stories, and it sort of gets drowned out by like we only had 3 channels before. It's like now we have a lot more choices, but at the same time the big giants are actually pulling back. It's almost like there's almost a vacuum for us to fill, as opposed to us trying to take over anything.
Right. Yeah.
So this is a perfect time.
You guys probably heard that AT&T sold off DC, right? I think Discovery Channel, on DC now.
This is weird times. It's like, the people buying things don't really care about the comic book industry. Some of these larger companies, they're bean counters, and they look at bottom. They don't see it. First of all, it's almost like they don't understand that the reason the movie industry is what it is for certain types of movies is because there was comic books that led to those movies. It's when they make a movie, when they do a certain thing that's new, they always bring in a test audience to like make sure that, like we're going to gauge how the ending of the movie is, or how this is, or how audience responds to it. They always bring in a test audience, and they don't understand that the comic book industry, comic book movies specifically, we have a built-in test audience. They should know before they even write down a word of script what people like, what people want, what people won't respond to. Yeah, it's all there waiting for them. So it's a little surprising that they're not taking the comic book or the imprint or the publishing part of it as seriously as they are the thing that's bringing them billions of dollars. Because without the seed, you don't get the tree. You don't get.
Yeah, I think they're tweaking. I mean, they're just. With Marvel, there's been a lot of backlash from the old school fans that you're making all the characters we loved as men and boys into women, and we can't really relate to that. And not to say that's not an audience for that, but
well, instead of creating new characters, they're taking characters that are already a certain way and changing them, but only for the sake of changing them to pander to a group. And I don't feel like if they made a Puerto Rican Superman, I would not feel like that was some kind of victory for myself and my Puerto Rican family. It's like, but the way that the way that Marvel handles things, like Miles Morales, Spider-Man, that was handled so nice. That was handled so well. I'm super excited for that character. But then when they talk about, we're just going to make a black Superman, but then completely ignore all of the other, Superman stories or whatever. He's basically just going to take over from. It doesn't jive right, especially when there are a couple of black Supermen in DC that have stories that are awesome characters already.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, bean counters and producers are sometimes disconnected from, because the fans pay attention. It's like when you write a story, you don't have to be a world-renowned writer to understand when a story is good. It's like, I know when filet mignon tastes great, and I know when I'm getting a burger. It's like, I don't have to be a cook to understand those things. So I think they're taking some things for granted,
The wheels are turning right now. They're turning right now, Bill, that we need to do a black Superman parody, but then Fred Sanford would be his dad.
Oh my God, that's hysterical.
Lamont L, you big dummy.
What was the related aunt? The Wheezy? I'm coming to meet you, Wheezy.
Yep. I tell you, I've been telling my friends for years that I was going to become a character actor at some point because I was on the Wheezy plan. Because Louise Wheezy, she on the Jeffersons, she started acting when she was 50. So that always made me encouraged. I was like, oh man. So it's like, even though I'm 51, it's like I still have a chance to become an actor. I could still go out there and do it. So I was just like, I'm on the Wheezy plan.
You could be the Puerto Rican Superman.
As long as they don't try to make me Clark Kent, plus I have to be like this slightly overweight, like rice and bean eating Superman. So
what's your weakness? What would be your weakness as Puerto Rican Superman? I don't know.
Oh gosh, I don't know. I'd have to think about it. Now we're getting deep. We're deep diving now. I don't know. We're deep diving.
It's going away from.
All right, sorry.
No. Listen, I don't know. I'm seeing new books be made right in front of me. Storyline.
You see what happens? This is what happens.
This is fantastic. This is what I love. I never mind tangents. I never mind them.
See. And then we'll think about this. If it's still funny 2 weeks from now, then we'll consider it. It's like, oh, that one's sticking. Yeah. That one's sticking. It's like
Michael's gonna want to cut.
That made me laugh. Lamont L. I love it.
Lamont L. and the seagull.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
Start writing, Don.
I'm sure people would love to see it. I'm being completely honest. It's people love all that kind of stuff.
It could just be a Superman book with like multiple stories. If Superman was this ethnicity and this one and this one,
you know what? That's actually perfect. I think that, no pun intended, I think that would fly. That would do the trick. That would do it.
Right.
That's a good approach. Make it a little anthology and just short stories.
I love it. Yeah, let's
drinking game. I heard the ding. Drinking game.
That wasn't me.
Uh-huh.
I will drink. I'm always thirsty. Okay, let's move on to the Kickstarter because we're almost at an hour here. We haven't even talked about beer, which is not a bad thing. I'm having a good time with you guys, but this is what you're here for. This is let's get the audience to learn about.
Cool.
Berserker. Let me get the screen up.
I wanted to put it out that my mother has company in town, so I'm supposed to be there in about 35 minutes. So I just wanted to let you know. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
She's making some Chinese food.
Oh, that sounds great. That sounds great.
That works out perfect. That's exactly how long I have. So we're good. We're good.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get the Kickstarter going here. So,
cool.
Berserker is the Kickstarter. It's a parody of the Keanu Reeves Berserker book. Before you we go into how you guys kind of started working on this, I want to show the intro video. Okay.
Oh, awesome.
So I'm going to give it full screen. Let me just find out where my mouse is here. Whoops. I want to go.
All right. I'm right here.
Okay.
That was good, Bill.
All right. Let's play here.
Comics are totally awesome. And I'm totally awesome too. Beard Zerker has everything you want from a comic book. It's got great drawings, colors, great story. It's got great action, has a little romance, and it's about something. Not just any something. It's a parody of some thing. And I was like, well, I used to collect, and I love comic books. And they were like, so, did you ever want to make a comic book? And I was like, yeah. And then Parody Press was like, oh, yeah. So they made a comic book that's a parody of my comic book. And it will probably be pretty hilarious, because that's what a parody is. Or at least what it's supposed to be. You know, this idea of kind of like a rock and roll warrior, someone in an altered state, someone with a big guitar axe, then a pet cat that's from the hood, just out of control. Speaking of out of control, there's his beard. It gets bigger and longer throughout the book until it takes on a fantastical life of its own. It's like, whoa! So check it out. If you do, I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed making it. But honestly, I didn't really do that much, other than rambling on about comics and books. I mean, comic books. Wait, what was I saying? Oh well. Enjoy! Beard Zerker from Parody Press. Back it today!
Awesome, man.
Awesome. Let me escape out of that.
You must have a good connection. There wasn't hardly any lagging on there. I like that.
Oh, that's great. I didn't know.
Sometimes there's like this robot-y lag, and it's just like, oh, I hope this still looks good to the viewers.
You know what, you guys? I just realized I forgot to put your banner scrolling across so everyone knows where to go to back this. So
thank you.
I totally forgot. I was having such a good time chatting with you guys.
Oh, cool.
Started. So, you know, you guys throughout the bottom, just go to beardzerker.com and it'll take you to their Indiegogo page where you can donate here. And we are looking right now. You're asking for 7,000 and you're already at 6,275, which fantastic.
Yeah, I think we're gonna make it because everybody says there's usually a push towards the last few days of the campaign, and we're gonna close out the campaign on another comic book creators show called Michael Bancroft, and he does a lot of launches and closes for people, and he's kind of got a nice dedicated audience.
Oh, that's great.
We kind of make fun of him in this campaign, but you as we scroll down, you might see him in there. So, all right. So we got we have 6 covers on this. It's a 32-page color book. I think we're probably going to use the same paper stock that we did with X-Farce, really nice.
A really great quality book.
They came out really nice. Yeah, I talked to that printer. He's really, really good guy. And the quality is like on mark. And the book is exactly the correct size and everything. Because I was putting it in those little collector boxes and their little collector frames and stuff.
Oh, good.
And it's like,
yeah, man.
Yeah. It's like, it's really legit. I love it. Love it.
So, we've got different tiers. You can buy each individual issue, depending on if you like a particular cover. We tried to make the price point more affordable than X-Farce. So whereas X-Farce was $25 for a 48-page book, we thought, let's try to make the consumer give them a little break. So it's a $15 price point. and it's all color. And you're looking at some of the first finished pages that Bill did. His daughter Kat is our wonderful colorist on this, and then Keith Gleason, who worked on X-Farce with us, is our letterer. And so we kind of bring a fun mad, cracked satire vibe to it, I think. And we've got some different guest stars on the cover from different creators. We mentioned Billy Tucci earlier, and I reached out to Billy, and he let us use she on a cover that Bill got to draw, which was fun.
Yeah, we're getting to the cover.
Definitely excited about that. I tell you that's a historic thing right there for as far as Parody Press is concerned, because we actually got permission to use not a parody of she. It's she. It's actual. So I think that's super cool. Yeah,
this is great.
Holy she.
Yeah.
We had a social media vote, and that was the cover the caption that won. There was one cover that said, "What is she doing here?" coming from Batman, and then this one is the one that people voted as the one that we're going to print.
It's great though.
So we've got that, and then there's a Ethan Van Sciver, who was well known for doing Cyberfrog. He's got a secondary character that he's coming out with called Rainbow the Brute. I think he's like the most masculine man in fairyland or something is his motto. But he's only like 6 inches tall. So when I got permission to do the crossover cover with Beardzerker, I was going, I don't know how we're going to get him to fight Beardzerker because there's such a size differential. But our artist, Preston Azevedo, said, I think I got an idea. And I said I wanted something Frazetta-esque. So he took the concept of the Death Dealer, and he made Rainbow the victor, and then he gets to claim Cat Stevens, which is Beardzerker's pet cat, as his prize, along with the bloody guitar axe.
Yeah. I've seen some stuff about Rainbow the Brute, but I didn't know he was 6 inches. I don't know much about it. I just know I love the design. The design that stands out to me.
I think he had like an illegitimate child with like Polly Pocket, and that's his kid or something in the book. I'm not exactly sure what the storyline is. Jax Martian, he does a really fun Kirby-esque, 70s, kind of Thor-ish cover.
I love it. I mean, I'm a huge Kirby fan, so he does a great job, with the style there.
And then Thad, who worked on New Mutants on X-Farce, he does a really cool kind of a movie poster. So my wife and Keith kind of worked on the typography to make it look like it's like a movie poster you'd see in a theater. Yeah.
This is great.
And then the only last cover that we have is a wraparound, which is U.S. Assassin. He's kind of a throwback G.I. Joe 90s character that's new, and so the creators of that let us use his character on the cover, and he's got a sidekick that's called Bazooka Dog. That's kind of like this armored German Shepherd with rockets. So I thought, how fun would it be to have Cat Stevens and Bazooka Dog, whooping it up on the back cover, and that's what you see there.
I'm gonna be on some of this stuff. Like I try to live in the indie world as much as possible. I've always preferred that to like mainstream stuff, but I was not familiar with the U.S. How do you say it? The U.S. Assassin here?
U.S. Assassin, yeah.
Assassin. Yep. And Bazooka. I would have been looking at that for a long time. How long's he been around for, or do you know? Or
I think he's had 2 successful Indiegogo campaigns, and he's kind of slowly been growing in his popularity and stuff. But the thing that's going to probably put him on the map is a crossover with a pretty well-known property called Graveyard Shift, and it's what if the Universal monsters were the X-Men. And that's
that's fantastic.
Yeah, that's a really good selling book that Mark Polton, who's the writer of U.S. Assassin, already does with John Malin. John Malin's a former Marvel Image artist. He did Cable and Youngblood and stuff. So they teamed up and did Graveyard Shift, which is their bestseller. And so U.S. Assassin is one of Mark's other characters, but now U.S. Assassin and Graveyard Shift are going to do a team up. So I think once that hits, yeah, people will see it.
I've heard of Graveyard Shift. I've never seen it though. I might have seen it on social media or heard about it through social media. I'm actually a big fan. It's something I have to look up because I'm a big fan of the old Universal Monster movies. I'm also a big fan of Public Domain. And to my knowledge, outside of the Wolfman and the creature, like the Gillman, the creature from the Black Lagoon, all the other monsters are in Public Domain. So
wow,
that should be really cool to.
Yeah, I just started reading the Graveyard Shift graphic novel. Mark sent me a copy of that, and it's really well done.
That's fantastic. I'm gonna have to look those up. So, and now this is great. The cast of characters. Now this is obviously it's a nice name, Cat Stevens. And I'm also a big Cat Stevens fan.
Yes.
But he's not kind of the Cat Stevens that we know as a musician, right? He's into other. His personality is more. He's
a streetwise.
Yeah, I was gonna
cat.
say he looks a little more like he's a hip hop cat or something.
Well, it's kind of an amalgamation of different influences, but there was a movie called Keanu that Key and Peele did. There are a couple of African American, writers, and they're pretty popular. So I've never seen Keanu, but I saw the trailer, and the cat looks a lot like our cat. He's got a bandana and a chain, and he looks like he's kind of an urban cat. So I thought, well, this cat's name is Keanu. How fun would it be to have the Keanu cat in this book, but not call him Keanu?
Yeah.
So that's why I thought of Cat. And then Cat Stevens is obviously a musical reference name. So that's how he came to be. But I think a lot of people, Bill's daughter loves Cat, and he seems to be kind of like the breakout character that people like because he just has.
I don't know if you saw my shirt, but it says, "Who has two thumbs and loves cats?"
Nice. So we've got a incentive, Michael, that the first people that sign up, like the first 35, I was going to give these cool die cut stickers, but I decided to even, as far as I know, I'm going to try to give as many of these out as I can. So at least the first 75 or 80 backers will get this nice little vinyl sticker.
That's great. And then we move
he's gonna have his own series.
Oh,
Rupert. He might, man. It'd be fun. Rupert, yeah, that's like Rufus from
Bill and Ted.
Yeah, I love George Carlin.
Oh, who doesn't? And Holly.
And then Holly, yeah. We actually sold that, Bill. Someone bought the Backstage Pass tier, which is one of the tiers where you get production artwork.
Yeah,
and that one, Holly sold.
Excellent.
And the Murder Hornets.
The Murder Hornets, yeah. So the Beardzerker book, he takes on all the things that people haven't been able to figure out solutions for. So Murder Hornets is one. There's the Rick Astley earworm pandemic, and then there's some other things I don't want to spoil. But he basically lays waste to like a bunch of pop musicians that think they're they have big heads and stuff. So
that they're above the law.
These guys, they're kind of like my spin on the Bill and I. We take on the Matrix agents from Keanu's Matrix series, and so we've got the Michael Douglas guy from Falling Down and Hitman, and then Hans and Franz. I thought would be funny as German secret agents.
That's great. So here that's the sticker.
Yeah,
I gotta say I love the logo a lot. I love the logo that you got going on.
Yeah,
thank
the
you.
logo came out sweet.
Yeah.
Kurt Hathaway did that. The same guy that did our X-Farce logo, and for a while, I thought that the name was just going to be Beardzerker with one Z. And I had a dream or something or some vision, and I thought of ZZ Top, and I said, well, you know, the light bulb went off. I said, let's take the ZZ out of the ZZ Top logo and put it smack dab in the middle of Beardzerker. And it just like was, oh, that was like, thank you guys.
It works. It's inspired. It's inspired. Yes, it is.
And Bill is doing these great sketch card tiers and
I mean, I love your work. It's gorgeous, you know.
No, thanks, man. Thanks, man.
And the black and white, you know, no offense to the colorist, who I know is related to you, but I love looking at black and white art a lot of times, you know. I'm colorblind, which I think I've mentioned to you guys. I see colors, but when they start blending, I have trouble telling them apart. So sometimes I just prefer to look at the black and whites. I can really see everything in there.
We might have to have an unwrapped or an ash can version of this book come out, so that way we have a black and white version of it.
It's beautiful. It really is.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. And I love this end right here.
my wife face swapped this. Yeah.
Photoshop. That is great. So let's move up and let's look at the tiers real quick, because this is. I mean, the artwork is beautiful, everything, but I know you guys got to go soon, and I don't want to overextend your your time with me here. So, for $75, all 6 variant covers, which is great. This is nice. Buy Laura a cup of coffee for $5.
She's our graphics wizard. Just.
You know, if somebody would just buy like $600 or $700 worth of coffee, we'd be done. We'd be good. Yeah. We'll break the we'll break the campaign thing. We'll be fully funded, and then we can just buy for fun.
I was gonna say that piece that you're looking at right now, that's to the left of my wife. That is a pinup. Well, there was an artist named Jim O'Reilly who reached out to me after our campaign was started, and he said, "I'd love to do a pinup for you for this book. Would you mind if I gave it a shot?" And I said, sure. So he sends me these pencils, and I just went, my jaw dropped. This guy's really good. And I find out he comes from a trading card background. He does a lot of work like Star Wars Masterworks and Upper Deck and stuff. And so Jim did such a great job on this piece, and then he had his colorist named Sigmund do the coloring on it. I said, oh man, this is so nice. I think Laura and we're thinking, and I'll probably run this by Bill, but maybe offering this as a limited time offer as a cover, like maybe a 72-hour cover as we get towards the end of the campaign. I might just say, we're just going to offer this for a set amount of time as the 7th cover and see how it goes. Because I just think it doesn't even need a logo, I just love it. I think
I think that'd be a great idea. It's like the 7th son. It's like the long lost cover number 7.
Yeah, it's fun.
The lucky 7 tier.
Bill and I we took a little liberty because as any dedicated Bill and Ted fan will know, the method of transportation was an old phone booth. But now in 2021, we don't have phone booths anymore. So I said, let's turn this on its ear. So it's actually a nuclear powered porta potty. So he'll go underground using the sewer system to go to where he needs to go. And that's what you're looking at.
I have to say this. In my Plunger Club comic, I use a porta potty as someone's spaceship.
Awesome.
It was because of my love of Doctor Who, and I used to joke it was called the Turtis, but
that's good.
But I never came up with like an acronym for it. So like what that could be the acronym for. So
great minds think alike.
You see, we're on the same channel.
I figured. I thought it was a porta potty when I saw it. So here, you got $7. You get the Kiss My Axe album. All right, which is that an actual album or is that just the cover?
That's
a digital album, right?
Yeah, it's a digital album. You'll get the MP3 files, and the music that you heard on the trailer is actually one of the songs that's on there. So he's a very talented instrumental, kind of a heavy metal type of soundtrack.
And so then these are just the different covers. 15 here. I gotta say, the way you did She, I just love the way, and I don't know if this was from your drawing or the coloring on it, but the way all the little like padding. I meant to say it earlier, but the way the little padding sticks out.
Yeah, making the padding stick out is like that's like you got to do that. You got to do that with her. It's like I think the coloring is what really brought it out.
Yeah.
You know, the line art is fine. It brings out enough, but with that little bit of shading, it really pops it out.
It's gorgeous. I mean, the covers are beautiful, and you know, for $15 for you know, basically each cover, this is a great deal.
Thank you.
You know,
yeah, we tried to make it. You know, we don't want to break the bank because most crowdfunded books are, you know, they tend to be like 20 to 25 plus the shipping. Every once in a while, we would run specials, either have a lower price or free shipping. But
and
yeah, that 6-pack deal, you're getting what would normally be $90 for.
Yeah, that's the top one for 75, I believe, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and that was up here, which they're gorgeous. I mean, great.
Thank you.
And down here, you get the Beardzerker and X-Farce combo for $39.
Yep. Sold a few of those. That's cool.
Talk to us. What's this Parody Press Vault pack?
You know, I was going through my my garage and I came across a bunch of like 90s Parody Press books that I had a little bit of overstock on. So I thought, well, rather than try to sell them piecemeal on eBay, which I do, I thought, well, why don't I make this a tier where you can get like 5 assorted issues of these old out of print Parody Press books as a tier. And so I did that on X-Farce and we sold a few, and then I offered it again just because I thought, you know, some people would like to kind of know what our roots are.
No, that's cool. That's great.
And Bill still has that cover artwork to the Death of Superman.
That's
beautiful.
That's the last piece of original artwork I have from the 90s, I think. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's the last one. Yeah.
And this is obviously a lot of airbrushing here on your work here.
Oh yeah, a lot of brushwork and airbrush. Yeah, that was still pre-Photoshop and pre-Procreate and everything that we use nowadays.
It seems like back then I would have been using photo. I didn't have the patience for a lot of like, at least traditional coloring.
Mm-hmm.
This is great. And then you got a sketch card level for $50, which you get the book. Now, when you get the book, is it a generic? Is it which is the cover that comes with this here?
It's your choice.
Oh, your choice. Okay.
Yeah, when you check out, you can choose, and then any of these books that they want signed are it's free of charge.
Awesome.
That's for me to sign because they're coming to me. But if we sell enough, they'll fly Bill out here.
And then you got for $69, you got the first 3 issues of X-Farce Reloaded 1 to 3. Do you mean the original?
The 3-pack.
The 3 covers. Yeah, the 3 covers.
The 3 covers.
Yeah,
okay,
we're still in demand. You were still in demand on X-Farce. So if you go to xfarce.com and you just want to buy X-Farce stuff, you can.
Yeah. Then Fear the Beard Roadie, $100. What comes with this tier?
That tier, you get all 6 issues. You're going to get any of the stretch goals that we unlock. You're going to get one of Bill's beautiful, his Beardzerker trading cards, which, yeah, I've got a sample here. He did some. So, and then you're going to get the MP3 album, digital album, and the famous costume beard that Bill and I have been wearing on shows the last month.
But of course you'll get a fresh one. So
yeah, it won't be used by me or Bill. It'll be clean. And it comes on a card that looks like it's got Ayatollah Khomeini as the cardboard. I put a little funny caption on any. If people get the beard, I'll put my own little caption on the cardboard card of what the guy might be saying. just to kind of make it fun. You can add on the beard for like $7 when you check out.
It's great. I gotta say, I love this. This is something I've been seeing a lot lately, which I haven't seen in a lot of Kickstarters. But I think over the last year or so, I've been seeing this get big. I love that people are offering retailer packs for stores to get them out in the stores now. I think that's fantastic. And then you got your Backstage Pass. You got a couple more. What are the Backstage Pass?
So the difference between the Backstage Pass and then the tier underneath it is that when we were first developing the book, I was sending Bill ideas, and so he was coming up with different ways that he thought Beardzerker would look. And so we went through like a real buff Conan phase and then more of a slender John Wick phase. So there's about 6 or 7 different drawings that Bill did of the characters and Beardzerker. So if you buy this Backstage Pass tier, you can choose, I think I have 5 options. You can get like the German agents or young Beardzerker or the cat as part of a art pack. So you get all 6 issues plus the piece of artwork and the MP3 album and the not the sketch card, but you get the beard. Yeah, you get the beard too. So
nice. So and then as we go down here, now it's about getting the artwork plus in addition to the book and other stuff. You're now getting the actual artwork.
Yeah, and so depending on what you want, you know, the U.S. Assassin came on 2 11x17 because it's a wraparound cover. So to me, I think that's a pretty good price to get a wraparound cover for $450. That's
totally
that's by somebody. And then Thad's work, it's a color painting for just $500. But Preston, who's the guy that did the Rainbow of the Brute, I was asking him for quite a while, do you want to offer that cover for sale? And so he said he just tweeted me yesterday and said, yeah, go ahead and put that up for sale. Here's what I want for it. So I said, okay. So he says 4,500. And he said, his wife says you've been selling your stuff for too cheap. So he's up in his game, but everybody says, he is got the chops that, that make it stand out. He's very, very in demand. And as you can tell by his work, he's very good. So hopefully we can sell that because it would be nice. he gets the majority of the money, but he said if you want to go ahead and try it. So I just put that on the campaign today.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's a beautiful piece of art. I mean, you still see it right here, and it's just gorgeous. Man, I couldn't imagine the patience it takes to do something like that. Jeez. So, one of the things about me and the why I like to do cartoony stuff mostly is because of the speed it allows me and how fast I can work.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I don't have patience for this, but I love it. I love what I'm looking at. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. I'm gonna let you guys go in a moment because I know you guys got to get going. But before I let you go, is there anything that you wanted to mention that we didn't get a chance to talk about? Or
let's see.
Buy Beardzerker.
Yeah,
we're close to our goals.
We're close. I think people get a lot of bang for their buck. I don't expect everybody to spend $69, which I thought of $69 because that's a Bill and Ted number. But we try to make it affordable. We realize that people have limited incomes, and we thought that for a short print book with this type of quality, it's not a huge budget breaker, and we think they're going to enjoy it. I mean, me and Bill try to squeeze as much laughs as we can into the product, and that's our goal, is to make people chuckle.
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just want to say you definitely got a sale out of me on this. I just don't know which cover I want to purchase. There's so many great ones here.
All right. Well, I'll treat you right, Matt. I'll throw in. You buy one and let me know the other one that you want. I'll throw in I'll throw in a freebie because you did such a great job on our X-Farce.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Yes, you guys, the X-Farce, you're going to check that out. I'll say it in the closing too, but make sure you check out xfarce.com. I'm sorry I did cut you off. I apologize. Did you want to?
Oh, you're fine. Maybe I wanted to mention I have a YouTube channel, which is on YouTube, and you just go to if you just type in Don Chin, it should come up. I have a regular streaming show on Wednesdays on the morning, so 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern time. It's called Comics and Coffee, and so I try to have a kind of a light, casual show with guests that are cartoonists and comic book artists, and they can promote their book. So tomorrow I'm having these guys from 656 Studios called, they have a book called The Kryptonals, which is kind of almost feels like a horror anthology. It's like, what if these, like the Kid Cthulhu, I think is one of their characters, and they've got like this wolf, almost like a chupacabra type of character, but they're the good guys fighting like this alien invasion. And so these guys are a bunch of Latin, Spanish artists that are going to be on my show. And if you go to Kryptonals on Indiegogo, you can get a look at what their stuff is, and it's just like really, really cool. So I do that show, and if people want to check that out, they can, subscribe to that or just watch it. And we have a fun interactive show.
Don't everyone subscribe. It's a great show. I have watched it. Unfortunately, not live because I work during the day and it's noon for me here.
No worries.
And it's live, but I have watched it, after.
We have fun. Yeah, we have fun.
It's a very fun show. So make sure you subscribe to Don's YouTube page. Check out his show there. If you haven't, subscribed to my page too, please. Bill, is there anything you'd like to say before we take off?
Well, the topic of the evening is Beard Zerker. That's the thing I'm working on right now as far as promoting and pushing. People can find me at my webpage at billmouse.com, or they could look for me at billmouseart.studio. And if you go to Instagram, or if you go to Facebook, or you go to TikTok or a place like that, then just Bill Mouse Art, one word. You'll be able to find my stuff there. I do have some things that are coming up after Beard Zerker. It'll be Nera X Reborn #3 from Committed Comics. I'm sure we'll have. I think it's going to be a Kickstarter that he'll launch for that one, and I think I'll have an Indiegogo for coming out with a new Zen book called Bounty Wars, and that's going to be written by Steve Stern, co-creator of Zen, and so those are things that are coming up on the horizon. So, but right now huh?
No, I was going to say, when those are ready, I want you to come on the show to promote them. And
Absolutely. We've got a lot of fun plans for those. So they're coming right around the corner. So awesome. As soon as we're all with Beard Zerker and get all the artwork done for this, then we'll start ramping up all the other stuff.
That's great. That's great.
Awesome.
Well,
awesome.
Thank you guys for coming on. I really did have a lot of fun. It's always great chatting with you too. And thank you for, I say this all the time, thank you, you guys for being creators, giving us something that is not normally out there. Without you guys, we wouldn't have certain entertainment that, making people laugh is probably one of the best things you can do. And between your art and your writing, you guys definitely do that. And, I got to thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks, my friend.
Yeah.
We're birds of a feather, man.
Thank you. I'm going to drop you guys backstage. If you want to hang out, you can. If you have to go, I completely understand. I'm just going to do my wrap up. But
okay.
Really, thanks again for coming on. I really appreciate it. I love what
thanks,
you guys.
Michael. I do have to take off, but I appreciate the invite.
No problem.
Have a good night, you East Coasters. Right. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
All right. We'll see you guys.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay. So, you guys, that was a really fun show. I really enjoyed talking to you. You could tell we basically did 50 minutes before we even got to the point of the show today, which was Beard Zerker. It really was a lot of fun. I love chatting with those guys. Definitely check out beardzerker.com. Donate to the comic. Check out xfarce.com or buy it through the Indiegogo for Beardzerker. Next week, I'm having 2 shows. I got a special. So I got on Tuesday, my regular night. His name is, I'm sorry if I pronounce it wrong, Christian Aluas. He wrote this book called It's a Living. He is a freelance illustrator and animator, and this is about freelancing in basically the 21st century. It's called It's a Living: Surviving as a Freelancer in the 21st Century, an ultimate guide for success for artists and creative professionals. I am almost done with this book, and although I've been a freelancer since 1994, I wish there was a book like this out when I was getting into the industry. Something to read, to learn about things that I learned along the way that I made, some mistakes, but I learned from them. But something like this could have helped me out. It is a great book. Check it out. Check out the show next Tuesday, 8:30. Christian will be on. And on Wednesday, I'm sorry, I forgot how to pronounce the man's name. I will look it up and have it for you next week. He's the promoter of PowCon, happening I believe it's next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in New Jersey, or it's just Saturday and Sunday. I'll have all that. He's going to come and talk about his show, and I know a few of the artists going. It looks like it's going to be a really great show. So those of you in the tri-state, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, maybe in Pennsylvania area who can get to Jersey easily, this, we've been wanting shows to come back. This is the perfect time for shows to come back. It's, people are starting to, to go out and do things again. And then we'll talk about on here how he's social distancing and how he's handling everything. But we're also going to talk about his guests and a lot of the cool stuff that we can see and about cons coming back. So next Tuesday, it's Christian. Next Wednesday, it is PowCon. So you guys, thank you for tuning in. Check out beardzerker.com. Check out xfarce.com. You'll get to the Indiegogo pages to purchase the products, and they look great. So I had a lot of fun. Thanks again for tuning in. I look forward to talking with them, my guests, next week. And you guys have a great night. All right.